Welcome to Eggs and Issues, a monthly business program presented by the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin O'Valley of WMTW News 8. Eggs and Issues is supported by presenting sponsors Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX, in cooperation with IDEX Laboratories, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and Oxford Networks. Also, television sponsor WMTW News 8, production support by Headlight Audiovisual. And now, please welcome the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce President, Bill Becker of Key Private Bank.
Well, good morning and welcome to Eggs and Issues. This is the Portland Community Chamber's monthly business forum where we gather to discuss business issues of the day. My name is Bill Becker, Vice President at Key Private Bank and Volunteer President of the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. It's good to see you all here today. 3 inches of snow, that's nothing compared to where we've been. I also want to make a special shout out, and we can all say happy 30th birthday to our CEO, Chris Hall. I would like to offer a few words about our sponsors. Our program is made possible through the generous support of our sponsors, all leaders in the greater Portland business community. Please hold your applause until I have mentioned all of them. Presenting sponsors, Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX. Cooperating sponsors, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, IDEX, and Oxford Networks. Reception sponsors, Clark Insurance and Key Bank. Parking sponsor, Allen Signs with Impact. Overall production support of Eggs and Issues is provided by Headlight Audiovisual, and our program is broadcast by our friends at Time Warner Cable. Our print sponsor is The Forecaster. Our e-media partner is Maine Biz. Our radio sponsor is WGAN, who interview our speakers and broadcast live right here every month. Our broadcast partner is WMTW TV. We also thank our special community partners, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Northeast Dental, and the Portland Press Herald, Maine Sunday Telegram, PressHerald.com. Now please join me in thanking all of our sponsors for their generous support of Eggs and Issues. Our Tomorrow's Leaders and Entrepreneurs program allows area high school and area college students and faculty to attend Eggs and Issues during the academic year. We'd like to thank our sponsors, AAA Northern New England and Springborn Staffing, for their support of this program. With us today are students and faculty from Cheverus, Greeley, Portland, and Casco Bay High Schools. We also welcome students and faculty from Southern Maine Community College, the University of Southern Maine, and the Maine College of Art. Students and faculty, would you all stand and be recognized, please? Baker Newman Noyes sponsors our Community Corner program, which allows area nonprofits to promote their organizations at Eggs and Issues. Our Community Corner partner this month is the Maine Center for Creativity. Founded in May of 2005, the Maine Center for Creativity is a private, nonprofit organization run by a board of directors. It is funded by individuals and corporations. At the heart of their mission is building Maine's reputation as a vibrant center of creativity and innovation, and providing support to innovative enterprises and creative professionals to foster growth and success. MCC does this by forging alliances between arts and industry to help build more economic vitality, more cultural vibrancy, and to make Maine more visible as a place where creativity and innovation thrives. With us today, Tom Dobbins, Alan Atkins, Jessica Cook. There's a whole table of folks. Would you please stand and be recognized? Now we want to take the time to recognize any new chamber members who are with us this morning, and our chamber membership continues to grow. New chamber members, would you please stand and be recognized as well? For folks who are interested, copies of the complete list of our newest members are available at the registration area, or you can speak to Joe Pickering or any of the chamber staff. Now, just a quick reminder before our speakers and panelists take the stage today. Today, we have a moderated panel. We'll have a question and answer period, and I understand that we want to have a discussion-like format, so feel free to stand up and introduce yourself. Tell us your name, your organization, And as you know, we also now tweet questions or follow the conversation using hashtags eggs and issues, which is right there on your screen. So now on to our program. Jean Maginnis has spent the last 8 years advocating for the support and stimulation of Maine's creative industries by working collaboratively with business leaders through the Maine Center for Creativity, a 501c3 organization that she founded. Her organization created Art All Around, an international design competition that received 560 proposals from 80 countries to paint art on the above-ground storage tanks owned by Sprague in the Port of Portland. The goal of Art All Around is to put Maine on the map for creativity and innovation. She has raised more than $1 million from the private sector toward the completion of this arts and industry collaboration, which is known as a creative place-making project. Jean has worked with Boston's public television and radio stations, as well as doing development and membership work with both the Portland Museum of Art and the Children's Museum of Maine. She has also worked for major advertising agencies in Maine, managing the advertising strategic planning and brand development for a number of large companies. In 2013, Jean participated in America's Creative Economy Research Project as part of the subcommittee of the National Creativity Network. In 2014, Jean joined the Maine Tourism Association Board of Directors. She is married and has 2 sons. Jean graduated from Boston College cum laude with a degree in communications. Please welcome Jean Maginnis and our panelists, David Flanagan, Sam May, Shannon Kinney, and Burt Russell.
Thank you. Wow, the lights are kind of bright up here. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful opportunity. I want to first thank Alan Atkins, who's one of our founding board members, who really made this opportunity possible. He's worked for a couple of years now to think about how can we really talk about how this creative economy is an important part of our future. And I just want to give special recognition to Alan. He helped organize the panel, all the questions, and the whole concept of really discussing with you what is the creative economy. So thank you very much, Alan. I'm very excited to be here with our panelists. And I will answer the question which has already been asked at the Community Corner: why this particular panel? What do they specifically represent? And what is this creative economy anyway? So I'd first like to let you know I want to give you a few facts and figures to steep this in the economy. Then I will ask each of our panelists to talk about what they do. And then at the half-hour mark, I'm going to open it up for all of you to ask questions. So I hope as we talk and as each person talks about what they're doing, that you'll be forming your questions and think about coming up to these mics here, because this is really about a discussion with the community. I'm going to cue the slides now. So what is it? Many people have different ideas about what it is. We have impressions of what it is. We have perceptions about what it is. And so oftentimes when you work in this field, you have to decide what definition are you going to work with. And this is the one that we have worked with. John Hawkins is an economist who has studied the creative economy for a long time. And it also speaks to this idea of what is creativity and what is economy. And the idea that really there's something different happening now. We are combining these things to create extraordinary value and wealth. And now the major inputs are our ideas, and the outputs are ideas. So what I'd like to really talk about is how we develop this culture of innovation, this place where lots of ideas come forward and lots of ideas get supported, and especially new ideas. Next slide, please. Something new has happened nationally. As Bill mentioned, I'm part of a national coalition, and it's really a grassroots coalition. It's people like me in about 40 states across the country, from Hawaii to Florida to North Carolina to Maine to Oklahoma, who have all started to work in this category to try to build the infrastructure and support that it needs to grow in your particular area. So for the first time in 2012, we decided as a nation to put this creative industry into the GDP, and it adds up to 4.32% of the US economy. In comparison, the travel and tourism industry was 2.8. And I'm sure you're all surprised by that, but that is an important figure to put out there to really recognize the facts of what we're talking about and the kind of support we need to put around the creative industries. Next slide. So now we want to know about Maine. How strong is it here in Maine? It's very strong here in Maine, just a little bit under the national, with 3,262 creative industry businesses generating more than 10,000 jobs. Does that surprise anyone in the room? Yes. And next. And now we want to know about the city of Portland as well. So what's happening in the city of Portland? The city of Portland is at the heart of what's happening across the state and around the nation, and a very important, densely connected area where there's a lot of money and a lot of full-time jobs in this area that are really contributing to household income. So you can see the numbers here. They're really important. And there's something to be compared with some of the perceptions we have of other types of industries that are here in our state. The most important part of what the Maine Center for Creativity does is try to really forge these relationships between arts and industry. And the first one we did is with the Sprague Operating Resources, because we thought it was an important infrastructure that was a symbol of the infrastructure that had been built many years ago, and that now we want to add something new, add something of value, put the arts community together with that older industry and see what we can do to really add value to our community. So we created Art All Around, and more than 1 million people visited the artallaround.com website back in 2008 when we ran that international competition. It quite literally was meant to help put us on the map, so that you can look at it through Google Earth. You can see it when you fly in planes. You can see it when you go in the trains, every major highway and the international shipping lanes. So it's really marking this place as a place that is creative and innovative and that works together. Another important component of the creative economy is education. Education is at one of the most important things that we can do for everyone in this community. And the Creative Toolbox Art and Science Series is something that we've been running since 2007. Coming up, we have Edison Liu on April 2nd, speaking about the DNA of creativity. He'll be talking about how art and science are very similar and be using his abilities as a jazz pianist to demonstrate how art and science come together. Hope you'll join us for that. That's going to be at USM. The Maine Network for Innovation and Creativity is really at the heart of what we're trying to do in terms of develop the connections and the cultural and industry connections between people here in Maine. If you think about the global economy, which we all know we're in, Maine can be thought of as that place that can compete in the world. That's one of the reasons we look at it as a Maine. Portland, Maine is an important thing that we talk about when we go out in the world, when we're business people, and even when we just work right here in Portland. So one of the ways that we want to reframe the thinking about creative economy, it's not just Portland, it's the whole state of Maine, because talent, technology, and tolerance are the 3 key issues that will help you grow the economy. The Maine Network for Innovation and Creativity is a collaboration of 15 people. You probably saw it in the community corner. It's for-profit, nonprofit, arts, and business all working together to more densely connect our population, to help seek, find, and collaborate. We want to seek the talents, find the talents, and then collaborate on either community issues or issues around business. And lastly, we really enjoy having PK Portland in our group of programs. And Arthur Fink is here representing PK. He can answer all kinds of questions, but it's really a very interesting 2020 format, 20 slides, 20 seconds, and it's a place for idea sharing. So we've been running those since 2008 and have seen thousands of people come through the program and really trained hundreds of presenters on the best way to use imagery and presentation to share your idea in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's about the Maine Center for Creativity, but we're really here to listen to the panelists. And I'd like to call on David Flanagan first. So we have David Flanagan as president of USM. One of the most important things we can do is educate our population. So David has a lot of ideas. He's a creative problem solver. He's someone who thinks through reframing problems that have continued over time. And we want to make sure that we hear a lot from David today. We also have Bert Russell. He's the VP of Operations from Sprague Operating Resources. Bert is a very creative person, and I know maybe 3 or 4 years ago I explained that to him, and he told me that he didn't really think he was because he's an engineer. But as you know, anyone who runs the operations of Sprague Operating Resources has to be a creative person. So creativity is very much part of what we do in work as well. I've also invited Shannon Kinney here. Shannon has been developing a new business called Dream Local. She is the client success officer and founder of that organization and continues to build new jobs for young people here in Maine and travels the nation talking to her clients and bringing clients into Maine. It's an idea that generated through a Maine-born woman, and now it's spreading across the nation. Sam May is here because Sam is from Rockport, Maine, and he has a new idea, and it's about our new food economy and how the new food economy really needs new financing as well. So he is advisory chair to the Maine Harvest Credit Project. So as you can see, this is a very diverse group of people up here on the panel, and what they have in common is how they innovate and how they create new things. And these are the things that I want you to start to, frame in your own mind in terms of questions, because we have lots of information and lots of things that we'd like to connect in this room to help us all build that culture of innovation. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce David Flanagan.
20 slides in 20 seconds. I'm from Maine. I don't think I can do that. But I would like to start off by recognizing the group of students from USM. This is the first time that we've been represented here, and I'm delighted. And I hope as we move into the Metropolitan University model, there'll be more interaction between our students and the business community. I'm counting on it. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of Professor Michael Shaughnessy from our art department, who is a true leader in the creative economy and who's been a leader in developing the Metropolitan University concept that we're working on. So thanks for being here, Michael. I believe that for all the changes that have occurred in our economy, our culture, and our higher education, two things remain the same. There was a survey in Maine Biz a year ago in which business was asked what qualifications, what credentials, what outcomes do you want from higher education, from the employees that come to you? And those two things were not the best engineering skills, though that's important, or the best, the highest grades, though of course that's important. The two things were, number one, the ability to think critically, to analyze problems, and number two, the ability to communicate clearly. Those are the challenges that we as educators must meet and which should be, I think, the core of our education. But how we deliver education, how we make it relevant to the business community, and to the economy of the state, that's the agenda here today. And I want to suggest 7 ways in which the University of Southern Maine and other universities are in the process of transforming themselves to better carry out that mission in the decades ahead. The first for us is to become more community focused, turning from the university as ivory tower to the university as engaged with the community. We at USM call this concept the Metropolitan University, where the city becomes the laboratory for learning and the university sees improving the cultural, social, and economic life of the community as an integral part of its own mission. So first, community focus. Second, to be student-centered. Seems axiomatic, ain't necessarily so. Education in this model shifts from the traditional classroom with the faculty as the sage on stage, lecturing to passive note-taking students, to a new model where the faculty acts as a guide on the side, encouraging active students and facilitating learning. We shift from faculty-centric to a student-centric university. Third, I think we need to emphasize competencies over courses. Of course, faculty will still teach courses in this new model, but the focus is less on the number of courses completed to get a credential and more on the competencies managed to gain proficiency. In this model, competencies trump courses, and I think that's what the world really wants and needs from our higher education system. The fourth thing is to utilize student portfolios to demonstrate learning. Learning assessment shifts from tests to regurgitate textbooks and lecture notes and focuses more on problem-oriented projects that create student portfolios. Just as we did in kindergarten, students get to show their work rather than just their test results and college transcripts. We encourage creativity and innovation over more of facts that will soon be obsolete anyway. A fifth new change towards a more creative approach is teamwork over isolated learning. In the old model, students were isolated learners. They studied alone, they did their own work, and got their own grades. In the new model, students work with others. Learning to work in a team better prepares students to work in an organization where soft skills are as important and maybe more important than anything else. The sixth thing is career preparation. The old model distinguished between universities teaching liberal arts and sciences and schools focused on technical, professional, and vocational preparation for careers. Students had to ask whether they ought to get a broad education for civic leadership or professional technical education for a career. In the new model, this tired old dichotomy should not be prevalent. It's not either or. We have to prepare students for jobs and careers that have not yet been created. Creativity, imagination, critical thinking, entrepreneurial leadership, and analytical and communication skills, these all have to come together under the new model. You'll hear some people in the press saying, oh, this is the end of liberal education, we're turning USM into a vocational school. Nonsense. A liberal arts education is a great foundation for a successful career in business, government, and nonprofits, and people are foolish to try to say that we can only teach liberal arts, and if we do anything else, we're not serving the interests of our students. Finally, seventh, is the issue of lifelong learning. The focus on the old model was to gain knowledge to earn a degree. When the students received their diplomas, they were finished with their education. But the focus now has to be on a model of lifelong learning and recognizing that the most important thing graduates need to learn is how to learn. Students today will likely have many jobs and many careers, and the world of work will change drastically over the next 40 years. It's our job to give students confidence to explore new areas, to innovate and to create, to connect old ideas with new ones, and to learn new ways of thinking, doing, and acting. I'm not trying to kid you. USM hasn't achieved all of these objectives yet, but they are our objective, and they are the direction we want to go in. And besides the metropolitan model, one thing I'd like to draw to your attention is the new interdisciplinary program called Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship that we're starting in the fall. It will be open to students in all fields, as well as people in the community and your businesses who are interested in entrepreneurial ventures. It is through such programs that USM will support the creative economy in Portland and southern Maine. To sum up, creativity is critical to innovation, and innovation in turn is critical to competitiveness. We can't just rely in this state anymore on our natural resources, important though those are. For the 21st century economy, it's got to be based on creativity and innovation and the creation of an infrastructure to encourage the development of those characteristics. So we're happy to be part of this. We're optimistic about Maine's future and our university's future, and I thank you for the opportunity to discuss these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Now, without further ado, Bert Russell from Sprague Operating Resources.
Good morning, and Jean, thank you very much for inviting me here this morning. Jean said she wanted a representative from a mature business in Maine. I wasn't sure if she was talking about me or the historical roots of our company, but regardless, I'm thrilled to be here. In the interest of time, I have a couple of slides that I was going to flip through. It's my hope that that helps transmit part of, both who Sprague is, what we do, some of the creative events and issues that have driven our success of late, as well as to give an insight into the platform that we're trying to build for the future. A true confession, the creative things that we've done in the past, it was through Jean that helped me identify some of those, because I didn't really see it, as Jean explained, in that light initially. But clearly, innovation and creativity have been driving Sprague's success for quite some time. Oh, there you go. Oh, you did. There you go. Okay. First, just a quick insight into our historical roots. And certainly, as everyone's familiar with the Sprague family, that's a big part of who we are and what we do, and that culture remains intact within us. It's something that they started a long time ago with a philosophy that is just to respond to customers' demands, sometimes before the customer even knows that in fact, is a demand. Equally important is our current owner and now our general partner of the Master Limited Partnership, which we went public in October 2013, but Mrs. Antonia Johnson. One of the most powerful things I think that she ever said to me, and she believes this with every fiber of her body, is essentially that commercial enterprise is the most effective construct for making the world a better place. All the decisions that we make are based on that. She has the luxury to get involved with businesses that she sees are fitting, and she truly takes advantage of that. And that drives a lot of the philosophy that occurs at Sprague. Just a quick graphic, and I'll point out three things on this slide, but clearly it shows that without innovation and creativity, we never would have been able to survive in terms of meeting all these various demands throughout the last 145 years. I'll point out three things. In the left column, Sprague was at one point the largest supplier of coal in the world, because we had the contracts to supply the Allied fleets during World War I and World War II. The middle column, a key for us, Sprague developed a natural gas marketing business in the mid-'80s, far before natural gas became a household word. And then the last column, which we believe we're preparing ourselves for the future with the IPO that took off in October 2013. Just a quick footprint of what we do. And it's a busy slide, but it shows our regional footprint, which is essentially the Northeast, as well as we have a facility in Montreal. And on the right-hand side of the slide, essentially shows what we do in those locations. So essentially, we will handle anything that generates a BTU, any form of energy, as well as we leverage all our assets to provide material handling services to others that need deep water access through one of our terminals, such as the example of the Portland terminal that handles an awful lot of newsprint, and a lot of the newsprint that goes to the Wall Street Journal, the Hartford Courant, all the major dailies throughout the Northeast travels right through Portland to get to readers and to get on their breakfast tables every morning. Just a quick hit list of some of the firsts that we've enjoyed. In 2001, Sprague began marketing ultra-low sulfur diesel 5 years in advance of the EPA mandate. That's something that still drives a lot of our success in New York City. Is we enjoy the majority of all the New York City transit contracts and supplied all the fuel to all the emergency vehicles that responded to 9/11. Sprague was the first in 2004 of all of our competitors to provide online buying. So if you were a Down East or a Dead River and you bought fuel from Sprague, we put the capability in the wholesalers' hands to actually go online and to buy their product at prices that they wanted that fit their profile. This is something that within 2 to 3 years of when Sprague did it was quickly duplicated throughout our commercial sector. In 2006, in our Rensselaer facility outside of Albany, we were the first BQ 9000 certified marketer for fuel oils in the country. We still have one of our representatives, sales rep in New York, is the president of the National Biodiesel Board, but something which has been responsible for some marketing success that we've enjoyed. One of the things in 2012, we were approached by a customer in Newington, New Hampshire, who was trying to source a better quality product from Spain, which required him to now bring it in on geared bulkers instead of self-unloader vessels. That's great, but we didn't have that capability at our Newington, New Hampshire terminal, and somehow, I'm not sure how they did it, but through creativity, our engineering group, which Carl Doherty is here today, figured out a way to handle that at a traditional oil dock, which to my knowledge had never been done before. This is a slide that's it looks a little bit odd, but this, once again, our Rensselaer facility, but you can note the solar panels on the office and the maintenance shop building. So I don't know of any other, at least in the Northeast, I don't know of any other oil facilities that also have solar panels there. It's a little bit of a stretch, but we've been able to do it. One of the things that I think best describes are the next two slides, our ability to consistently reinvent ourselves. This is an aerial of our Searsport, Maine facility in 1950. You can see on the two tanks there, which were 6 oil tanks, the Sprague and the coil, which was a innovative marketing technique which heralded the transition from Sprague selling coal to oil, and they combined it to, you can see the coal piles to the right. But this is a shot of our facility today, which essentially has a very diversified use and helped Sprague in the about 8 years ago. At one point, Sprague was the largest importer of windmill components in the U.S. It just so happened that a lot of the initial wind farms were built in the Northeast, which we drove that business, but that was another first for us. One of the challenges that we have in terms of future, we acquired a 1 million barrel facility in the Bronx, New York, in December 8th. We were immediately told by a lot of the folks down there that, we understand you're from Maine and New Hampshire, but this is the way we run things in the Bronx, and I would only say that that's a continuing and evolving education. I'm very confident that we will be able to leverage that up and to meet the challenges, and I see Peter Bennett in the room who has helped us with some of those challenges, so there are other Maine people in the room that are helping us to solve those. But clearly, the key to our success is the employees. I mean, this is what gives me the confidence to really tackle any challenge, and with understanding that we'll be able to figure it out. This is a shot at the Portland terminal. We've got a couple of folks here Rolf Westphal, who manages our South Portland facility, is here today, as well as Brock Mooney, who is the terminal manager of our Portland facility. These guys are really at what I call the pointy end of the spear, and they have a huge amount of responsibility that they undertake every day, and their leadership is critical. But it's through folks like that, who are a lot younger than I am, that give me a lot of confidence that we'll be able to meet the challenges of the future. Just the last slide is certainly one that you're all familiar with, but this is, and Gene, I need to update this because there's some additional tanks that are painted, but just an aerial of our South Portland facility, which shows the breadth of our operations. So I look forward to the panel discussion, and thank you very much.
So we have education, we have energy. Now we have Shannon Kinney for new ideas.
Hi. I'm really honored to be here today with such a distinguished panel, and also to talk about such an important issue, which is creativity in the workplace. We at Dream Local Digital, we are based in Rockland, Maine. We are also serving clients throughout North America in 2 provinces in Canada and 19 states right now in the US. And as of yesterday, we have 49 cities that are ready to roll out. So we're expanding our operations pretty rapidly. But what's most important is the people that it takes to make that happen, and how we can create a business like this in Maine. I started the business 6 years ago. Last week, actually, or 2 weeks ago, we celebrated our 6-year anniversary. And early in our time, we had an opportunity to be acquired by Google and a couple other companies, all who wanted me to close down in Maine for many reasons. You know, we're not close enough to a labor pool of online marketing people, and a number of other reasons. But we're scrappy people. We wanted to be in Maine. We want to create jobs in Maine. We want to help small businesses in Maine and throughout North America. And so we creatively got it done. So what we do is we serve small businesses and help them market themselves online. We also work with media company resellers to sell our product. So media companies today are trying to serve the needs of their advertisers, and advertisers are confused, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I want to put this ad in print or on TV, but I'd also need some help with Facebook, and can you make me show up on search engines, and I need a website. And so through our partnerships with media companies, they're able to sell those services to their advertisers, and we fulfill all of it. The majority of our jobs are in Maine, but we do have people in 4 other states. So what really is the fundamental challenge or problem that we solve is that marketing today is very different. And how you promote your business as a business owner is very different. How you communicate and get news and information is very different. 76% of people in the United States feel overwhelmed by the amount of information thrown at them every day. So what we help people do is figure out how to navigate through that. We do it by helping them show up on search engines. We help them build customer relationships and brand awareness on social media channels. We run campaigns on 19 different social networks right now. It's not just about Facebook, although we love those guys. And really the key is to build engagement, right? And by that I mean communication today isn't a one-way street. If I just said, this is what I do, this is what I do, you'd stop listening to me over time. So really the teams of people that work for me that are running campaigns for media companies, they're running campaigns for our clients, which are in all industries. We have one-person businesses that we help, and we have financial institutions, we have education, we have lawyers, and a lot of other people. But this is knowledge work. Our people need to be creative and have a lot of energy and come up with new ideas every single day. And so we try to teach them about how to build engagement, how to get people interested in what they're saying on behalf of those clients. So the other thing is, which I wish it wasn't an innovation, but it really is in my industry, we give customers what they want. what they're looking for. And what customers want today is to not be sold a space or a tool or a particular spot. Customers don't wake up in the morning and say, God, I need to buy more print today. they wake up in the morning and say, I got to sell more stuff. So the way we approach the market, both in our direct business, we have a lot of clients here in Maine, and through our media partners, is to actually teach them how to sit down with a client and talk to them about their business. What are they trying to achieve, and helping them do that. This happens to be a roofing company that through its work with us has gone from being just under $200,000 in revenue and 3 jobs to 30 jobs and $4 million in revenue this year in Warren, Maine. But it's not about the products that we sell. Yes, we sell social media, and we sell search engines and websites and mobile and video and all of that stuff that people are interested in terms of how to market themselves. But really what customers want is not the products. They don't care about that. They care about the fact that they can trust us to help them grow their business. They care about a creative partnership where we are customizing our ideas and solutions for them to help them grow. And so I'm constantly spending time keeping my team inspired to make those partnerships as beneficial as possible. And it's about results. Small businesses today don't care. People in my industry fall in love with how we solve problems. Like, oh, I did it by this reach and this frequency and this medium and this medium. Customers don't care about how we do our job. They just want us to do our job, sell more of my product or help me get this message out there. So that's what we're teaching our employees, our interns. We've had 70 people come through our internship program. We have just under 30 FTEs and 60 freelancers right now working to help bring results for the people and the media partners that we work with every day. So the other thing I wanted to just touch on briefly before I get off the stage so we can have our discussion and talk to Sam is about how do you inspire creativity on such a high energy pace all of the time. We do have a lot of coffee at the office. We do have a lot of beer at the office. Those coffee and beer and broadband are probably the injections of fuel into my business on any given day. But the other piece is it's really about creating a culture that inspires your workforce to want to be at their best. In my business, my profitability every day is entirely dependent on people. I've already built the process, the deliverables, and if you follow the program, that produces profitability. But it's really all about the people and creating a culture that they want to work in and that inspires them all of the time. So culture, ironically, is about 1/3 of what I do in my job to help the company grow. And so I needed to, we have people because we're in Maine, I don't have 70 people lining down the door who have experience in online marketing to come to work for us. What we do is we have people from all different walks of life, all different industries, and we have young people, we have people like myself that aren't necessarily young anymore. And because we needed a sort of a cementing factor that made everybody identify with it. So I started calling them honey badgers and referring to them as honey badgers because if you've ever seen the video about the crazy, nasty honey badger, he'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. He's creative. A cobra bites him, he chokes it, lays down for a little while, and then gets back up and eats it. Honey badgers are going to do whatever it takes, and fostering that culture of creativity and constant perseverance is really a big part of our success. So I am very grateful for the work that Jean and Maine Center for Creativity does, and inspiring people to come up with new ideas and be successful every day. So thank you, and I look forward to discussion later.
And up next is Sam May.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam May. I live here in Portland, and I want to talk to you about Maine Harvest Credit Project. But before I do that, I'm going to take a few minutes just to give a little bit of my background. I grew up in Rockport, Maine in the 1950s and 60s, and I spent considerable time with on a neighboring farm. And over a 10-year period, I watched that farm from 1955 to 1965 go from viability to no viability. When we started, we were bottling our own milk, and we were delivering it in insulated trucks that we stocked with ice from Graffam Brothers in the Village before we went back and got the milk. So it was an insulated truck. That's how old I am. By the time the mid-'60s rolled around and I was in junior high school, I spent a summer picking rocks out of cow pastures in order to make a golf course, because the men who knew more than Chet, the farmer from Orono and Augusta, said, your farm's no longer viable, you need to make a golf course. So I made a golf course. And I hope sometime in the next 10 years to be able to help in the conversion of a golf course to a dairy farm in Maine. After many twists and turns, I went on to live and work in technology and capital markets on both the East Coast and the West Coast and in Hong Kong. In the 1990s, I took wireless companies public in Silicon Valley, and in the 2000s, I helped Chinese companies raise U.S. capital. I've been very fortunate to have a knack for spotting big trends and being able to put myself in the right place at the right time and to benefit from that. I have returned to Maine several times. I am an example of youth leaving the state for opportunity. That's something of big concern to all of us here. David and others are working in a long tradition of trying to deal with that problem. I'm also an example of middle age locating to Maine for lifestyle. My relocations back to Maine have occurred only because I could bring an out-of-state paycheck with me. We would like to address that problem. While things have worked out well for me, reality has been different for so many others. The financial crash of 2008 showed that we have over-financialized our economy and exposed the ugly side of wealth and income inequality. We are at this moment looking at grave environmental problems. We have commoditized our food system with dire consequences for public health. We have allowed student debt to exceed credit card debt, and the list goes on. Wow, that's pretty depressing. We certainly need a fresh and creative approach now. Big things are happening in Portland and in Maine, and I am hopeful. Remember, I have a good track record of spotting emerging trends. Why has Portland emerged as such an important center for food? What does this mean? The Maine I grew up in no way foreshadowed what is occurring now. I can assure you of that. I believe Maine is the new food mecca because we have some very important things have happened here over the years. We're at the end of the road. We're on our own. We had a strong back to the land movement. We love foraged food. We hunt, we fish, we eat venison, we boil lobsters alive. We have the oldest and largest statewide organic farmers and gardeners association in the country, MOFGA. We have one of the largest statewide farmland protection organizations in Maine Farmland Trust. Our chefs, like Sam Hayward at 4th Street, have for years explored the deep connections between nutrient-dense local food and worked intimately with consumers to dazzle, but to remain honest to core values. We have a very intimate circle of respect between producers, chefs, and consumers. We want good food, great taste, honest preparation, and we also want our neighbors to be the producers. We want things intimate and local and real. So I'm deeply involved in the relocalization of food in Maine. So much is going on with farm to table, farm to school, farm to institution. I hope that David is being badgered by students all the time for more local food at USM. Our local food co-ops are revitalizing, as we have seen with the creation late last year of the Portland Food Co-op. Local food is now on the docket at board meetings at hospitals and schools from Fort Kent to Berwick. There is much hope and enthusiasm, but there's also a stark reality. If we are going to relocalize our food system, we are going to need to revitalize significant infrastructure for growing, processing, distributing, marketing, food infrastructure that has left the state by and large over the years. We need farms, but we also need slaughterhouses, grain mills, growth capital for new foodstuff manufacturers. Here in Portland, we have a tremendous opportunity with new foodstuff creators. We need to build brand recognition for innovative Maine food products that leverage existing iconic products, but take us in new directions where value added means more than banding lobsters or bottling maple syrup. With this situation as a backdrop, a couple of us at Slow Money Maine, a statewide group dedicated to exploring new financing options for the relocalization of our food system, began to explore in 2012 the idea of starting a new state-chartered credit union. We are looking to create a statewide special purpose credit union under the auspices of MOFGA and Maine Farmland Trust for the financing of the new food economy. We are experiencing real growth in Maine and are poised for more. Farms are growing in number, and the average age of a farmer is going down, albeit slowly. We are producing significant amounts of artisanal cheeses, and our craft brewing capabilities are exploding. How many other sectors like that are waiting to follow? Here are some details about what our institution would look like. The most important thing to say is that we seek to create a going concern, standalone financial institutions where deposits are fully insured and loans are reviewed by an expert loan committee. We would focus on small farm mortgages in the $100,000 to $300,000 range, and equipment and business loans in the $10,000 to $100,000 range. Customers would be able to access services through any number of other credit union branches in the large shared branch system in Maine. We have worked closely with the Maine Credit Union League in Westbrook and its in-house operations, Synergent, to help us flesh out this model. Maine Credit Union League and Synergent represents the 60 credit unions in Maine and runs much of the back office network for those credit unions. So in this way, we expect to make a meaningful contribution to the state of Maine and the relocalization of a more healthy food system. Thank you very much.
Wow, was that a lot of information? Show of hands, how many of you have questions now? All right, just one? Wow. I guess we got to give up. We don't have a culture of innovation. We can't ask questions. But we'll start with Arthur. Go for it.
I want to ask a question about the segmentation of our society. Gross generalization. There are a lot of business people who really don't think that these crazy visual and performing artists have much to do with business.
I'll stop you for a minute. Can everyone hear Arthur? Okay, Arthur, would you go to a mic? Yep, thank you.
Really don't think that those crazy visual and performing artists have much to do with the business world, and crazy artists who really snub their noses and don't think that businesses have the right values or much to do with them. How do we break down these barriers and create real cooperative communities in which those with resources and those who live daily with wild creativity can nurture each other and work collaboratively? Now, I know that I don't ask this in a vacuum. That's what the Maine Center for Creativity has been doing for years. But looking beyond what we've done so far, how do we break down those barriers?
I'm going to look to one of our panelists. Shannon, would you like to take a stab at that one?
Sure. I think that's an important question, and I think for me it actually has another layer that you didn't bring up, Arthur, which is millennials. Millennials will be a larger segment of our work or working group than baby boomers by 2016, and whether somebody's younger or really creative and has a lot of energy and they think differently, for me, I have to create a culture in which those people are inspired and not dragged down by the man, so to speak, right? So there are certain things like flexible work hours that are really important to our culture. There are, it's funny, I was just talking about this before the session. When we take new people on, we have an onboarding process where we'll ask them, like, what inspires you? What sorts of things are you interested in? And then we try to help them achieve those goals as well. Because for me, having a creative person and their energy is something you only want to get bigger, not smaller. And so I feel like it's my job to at least do as much as I can to facilitate that. Like we had one successful, really successful food blogger that worked for us for a long time, and then we helped him get a job in LA, and then we helped him run a Kickstarter campaign that was wildly successful, and now come back to Maine with a food truck. So he'll call you, Sam, because I can't pay for anything for him anymore. But the idea is to get inspiring, crazy people, you have to be a little crazy yourself and create a culture in which they can be successful.
And Bert, can I ask you to answer that as well?
Well, I would just go back to one of the slides that, and this comes, from our owner, but commercial enterprise is the construct in which to effect change. So, I would challenge everybody in the room. These are all leaders within the business community that have a huge influence over the local culture and ethics. And I think it's all what we do each and every day that's viewed by our employees. It sends a signal, and certainly, I know many in the room, and I think Portland is well positioned in this, but they respect diversity, respect the the cultures. They understand innovation. They understand technology, and I think certainly, Gene, you helped me to identify some of the things that we've been doing that I hadn't seen before, and I think it's an evolving education. So I would only say that some of what I've seen lately I think is very inspiring, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
And David?
Yeah, I think it's a two-way street. I think one of the things that's happening both at USM and at the Maine College for Art is teaching business skills to artists, that you can't just go out and paint pictures. You got to know how to keep the books and how to charge people and how to price your product. And schools like ours are beginning to get those real-life skills onto the agenda. At the same time, business needs, as Shannon said, to have a culture of openness, of innovation, of interdisciplinarity, which promotes creativity. I think looking at the best practices of competitors and just being more open, and I think that's a tendency that we have here in Maine, and one that we should consciously encourage.
And I would just add that having worked with Michael Shaughnessy, I know that the discipline of the arts is really where a lot of creativity and creative problem solving comes from. So there's a whole training that an artist has about how to make art and how to solve problems and how to look at things from different perspectives. So as well as teaching the artists the business skills, the business people recognizing, honoring, and value the art skills is of great value to every company in this room. Next question.
I'm Kimberly Long from the Embassy Suites here in Portland. My question is, as a mother of a senior going off to University of Southern Maine in the music education program, I have fought for way too long in the school systems to make sure that it's not all about the math, which is good, and the science, but these children are allowed to be creative, to learn critical thinking, to play their instruments, to draw their pictures. It's been a fight for a long time. So what can, I know having people out in the community as adults and working in this industry is great, but how can we not squash it before they leave high school so that you don't have to work as hard, so that they're out in the community, so it's an easier job for all of you, because there's a lot of creative kids out there that get told that it's not important, that math and science are important, which it is, and I am a great believer in education, but I believe that students who have music in their lives are better thinkers, use a different part of their brain, but it's a constant fight. So what can you do to help that?
Well, first of all, thank you and continue to persevere because it's extremely important. In all the studies, it points out that people who have invented brand new ways of thinking have studied music, have studied art. They've also studied math, and they've studied science, and they're deeply knowledgeable about their field. But all of these people who have invented have been musicians and artists. So I really want to put together this notion that we're not separate. This is together. This is about art and industry coming together. Another question?
A little late. My name is Michael Hale,
Okay.
and I'm the Director of College, Career, and Citizenship at Casco Bay High School here in Portland. I'm also the Stupski Foundation digital educator there, and I'm just a school counselor. And my question today, two questions. One, was a high school or middle school representative invited to today's presentation?
Chamber?
We have high school students with us.
Yeah, it looks like we have a lot of high school students
Oh, I
with
meant
us.
to speak on the panel.
No, not to speak on the panel.
I would love if you would invite one of the area high schools to speak in next year's panel. I think that's where most of the work needs to be done. If I could be
Wonderful.
so bold, I apologize.
not bold.
I don't mean to be
Bold
brash.
ideas are what get us moving forward.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for a great idea. And yes, if we're invited back next year, we'd love to have high school students.
Right. As Steve Jobs said, you got to think differently. And then the next question is, Casco Bay High School and Portland Arts and Technology High School just recently decided we're going to build a new theater, and it's going to also involve. Well, thank you. Somebody clapped. I would like to talk to you about our GoFundMe site, sir. And we are looking to find technology leaders in Maine, only Maine, and art leaders to help us begin this endeavor. It's a 5-year plan to build a state-of-the-art, sustainable with storage containers, leaves, whatever it is, to build this thing. So we can truly be kind of a highlight of what we hope is Maine and how we could build something that's technological and arts focused. So I'd love to talk to anybody afterwards. I'll be right over here. If you're interested in joining a small exploratory committee about that.
Great.
So again, Michael Hale, Casco Bay High School. Thanks so much.
Okay, and just think about that. We're asking for the arts, the business, and the education to all come together to create these beautiful new models that really are being created here and need to continue to be created for the future. Thank you very much.
Applause for our panelists and our moderator. Lots of good lessons learned. Thank you very much. As a thank you for your participation, we will be making a donation to today's community corner partner, the Maine Center for Creativity. So some final announcements as we wrap up. You can stay up to date on everything related to the Chamber by connecting via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Stay tuned to the Chamber's website for video of this morning's Eggs and Issues. We hope to see you all back on Tuesday, April 21st, when we'll be joined by Governor Paul LePage. Thanks again, and have a great day.